Welcome to We've All Done It, the podcast for leaders who get the work done, but find the people part of leading frustrating. I'm Kimberly Benoit, author, award-winning former corporate executive, and leadership coach. With over 20 years in the corporate world, I've seen it all, the good, the bad, and the downright messy. If you've ever avoided a tough conversation, played favorites without realizing it, or just wondered, why is leading people so hard? You're in the right place because we've all done it. This is your space for real talk, real solutions, and no judgment. Together, I'll share practical strategies to help you navigate workplace drama, build stronger teams, and lead with confidence. No more pretending, no more suffering in silence, just honest, actionable leadership from someone who's been in your shoes. Are you ready to lead differently? Let's do this. Welcome back, everybody. I can hardly believe that we are in August. How did we get here? I feel like this year has flown by. And that was partly the reason why I chose time off last month. In part for a couple of reasons. If you followed me for a while, you know July tends to be a quiet time for me. I do some work, but not as much. I use it as a time to rest, reflect, do some strategy, do some rethinking, evaluate what went well in the beginning of the year. What do I want to try to accomplish at the end of the year? And kind of start getting those plans in place. But also in that work, which I take as quiet time, I also use it as a time to take a break, both mentally and physically. It's a great excuse. It's my birthday, so it's kind of like a gift I give myself, which I highly recommend. If you don't do it, you should. But last month, I spent a lot of time with friends and family. They came in to visit here in the DC area. I did a little bit of traveling locally. I camped some and hung out with horses, and I ate, drank, and just tried to live in the moment a lot, laugh a lot, and just try to appreciate where I am in this moment in life and try to plan for what's to come. So I thought I would use this episode coming back to really emphasize something, a concept called practicing the pause. And you probably do it without even realizing you do it on a regular basis. This is a moment where you take it could be an instant, it could be like I do, kind of close to a couple weeks, and where you turn your brain off. You allow things to slow down. You allow your thoughts to kind of catch up with the emotional side of what's going on with you so that then you can take an action that is based more in conscious versus emotional, an emotional place or an emotional reaction. And this is a concept that definitely is linked a lot to mindfulness. So if you do meditation, if you do mindfulness practices, you're very familiar with this. These are those moments that you get really quiet. You allow yourself to go inward. You kind of check in with where you're feeling emotionally, what your body's doing. But I would argue that I'm going to talk about how we actually do this all the time, whether you realize it or not. And it's something that you've probably been built to do, whether you are consciously aware that you are practicing the pause. So let's talk about how this concept shows up for you. So let's talk about large scale. So when we think about practicing the pause on the large scale, that I always think about that in the sense of when people take big vacations, they take sabbaticals, you are intentionally taking massive chunks of time away from your daily life. You are doing something different. You are approaching the world, seeing the world through a slightly different lens for a period of time. And I'm not talking like an hour or so. I'm talking like week, 2 weeks. Our European friends are very good at this. They take like the entire month of August off. That is a long practicing of the pause. And so why do we do this? And how can this be helpful for you? Well, one, this is a great practice and we normally do this too late, right? So when do we plan our vacations? We plan it when we're actively burnt out. I need to get away from here before I do something stupid, before I say something stupid. I need to go to the beach. I need to go away. stick me in a cabin with nobody around so I don't have to deal with people. That is a pause. You are instigating a pause because you need a pause. Life is too big. Life is too stressful. Life is too much pressure. I want to remove myself from it for a period of time to try to give myself a break. Personally, I will tell you this last month came at a very important time for me. I felt personally that I was in kind of a rut, for lack of a better word. I definitely was not in my groove. I was in a rut. I just was feeling very cynical. I was trying some things that were not working. I wasn't seeing that return on my energy and investment. And I just was not in a productive mental space. And when I'm not in a productive mental space, it typically shows up for me physically as well. I'll have headaches. I won't feel well. I won't sleep well. If that's starting to sound familiar, your mind and body are connected. They're not separate entities. Just like there's no such thing as a work-life balance, there's not a mind-body balance. Those things are connected. They influence each other to a great degree. And so for me, taking that time away where I gave myself permission to not think about the problem, to not think about my frustration, to not think about fears and not put pressure on myself to come up with a solution. Because ultimately I have to have a plan, right? Like you can't just go through life, willy-nilly. You got to have a plan. And I gave myself permission to not think about those things. And in doing that, it was a beautiful moment because I'm actually coming out of this break feeling physically better, emotionally stronger. I have ideas that I would not have thought of a month ago. It's almost like when you give your brain a break to breathe, it gives it an opportunity to explore pathways that you wouldn't have because you're stuck in this. That's why it's called stuck in a rut. You're kind of just chewing on the same ideas over and over again mentally. And until you kind of give yourself a chance to breathe, you're not able to even explore maybe a different path, a different idea, a different opportunity. So I can speak from personal experience and tell you that, man, yeah, taking the time off has been very helpful. Now, does it necessarily solve all the problems? No, but does it allow me a chance to give my brain a break from thinking the same thoughts over and over again, to open up myself to new ideas, to go try new things? Absolutely. So there's a reason why those breaks are important. What I would encourage you to do is not wait until you are completely burnt out, completely mentally, physically done, because I can tell you that week won't solve the problem. It is just the beginning of solving it. So it's how do you start to do these things and plan these pauses in a proactive way to keep you as balanced and sane as possible. I know for every year I do this in July. Every July I give myself, because between the four, like all the holidays here in the US and vacations and stuff, client work kind of slows down. I feel like everything slows down. So it's a perfect time to kind of take that break and really just give myself permission to step back a little bit and to think differently. So I encourage you to think about it. That's on the large scale. Now let's talk about practicing the pause on the small scale, because I guarantee you have done it. If you have ever counted to 10 before you responded, if you've ever said, I think I need to go for a walk, and took a walk before you did or said something, or even if you just kind of took a moment to take a very long, deep breath before you responded in a difficult situation, difficult conversation, that is practicing the pause in the moment, in the short term. I cannot advocate for this enough. I feel particularly now that a lot of people are shorter. Like we are shorter with each other. We're more agitated, to flip to anger and to flip very quickly to hostility, and kind of a negative response is really high in the world right now. And if that is not who you want to be, if that is not how you want to show up, if you want to show up in a more thoughtful, more thoughtful, measured manner, practicing the pause in the moment becomes incredibly important. And so because what the pause does, it allows you to respond and act from a place of conscious thought versus an emotional place. And let me tell you, sometimes you're going to get angry and you're going to say things and you're going to be happy and you're going to be content with that response. That is great. I will tell you from a leadership perspective, I have frequently, when I look back on regret or when I look back on shame of things I did or said, I normally took those actions came from a place of extreme emotion. I was incredibly angry. I was incredibly frustrated. I was incredibly tired. And I didn't think through what I was about to say or what I was about to do. And it ended up causing more harm than good. Not necessarily that what I said or did was wrong, but maybe how I said what I said or how I executed my action was hurtful. And from a leadership perspective, when you think about that, or even in your personal life, once you damage trust, it is so hard to repair and it is so hard to come back from that. Because you technically are in the wrong. Even if like the message, like even if you at some higher level, you're right. If the how you executed it was wrong, you're wrong. So I encourage you to think about how you actually implement that pause in your life. Think about it today. Have you done a slight pause and before you said something, before you did something? I can guarantee y'all know I don't have kids, but I know all my friends who do have practiced the pause at some point. And it could just be you didn't say anything, but you gave a look because you knew what was about to come out of your mouth was going to probably be pretty harsh and you needed to control your response. Same thing if you're a leader. I mean, my goodness, we have all had moments when somebody has come to us with a request or a complaint that you just cannot even begin to imagine. And you need to gather yourself before you say something back. So think about how you take your pause. And is that good enough for you? Is that how you want to do it? Do you want to try to incorporate other things? So whether it is, the counting to 10, 3 slow breaths, inhales, exhales before you say anything, getting out and taking a walk to ground yourself. And because physical activity has shown to be very helpful in managing stress and managing those negative sides of things to kind of help get you back to center before you open your mouth and say something that maybe, most likely, you might regret and get you in HR jail. And ultimately, do we want to be in HR jail? No, we don't. Especially not in this economy. We want to make sure that we are doing well, that we are showing up the way we want to. Remember, this is about showing up as our best self today, showing up as we want to. And I guarantee you, if you think about practicing the pause, implementing that in your life, you will show up in a better way. And I just really wanted to take this episode to say, this is me in action, practicing what I preach. And I can honestly tell you I am better for it. And I am grateful that I do it. Will I tell you, does something inside of me sometimes say, no, push through? Absolutely. But every time that I give myself permission to do it, despite that internal thing of like, go, 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 that very American grind, which we know doesn't actually lead you to success if you're not healthy and all those things. Fight the urge to not do it. Take care of yourself. Take care of your emotional state. Take care of your mental state. Take care of your physical state. Because at the end of the day, if you're not taking care of yourself, no one else will. And especially for all my parents out there, you know what I'm talking about. You have to take care of yourself first, and practicing the pause is part of that. All right, so I am now back to get you through the last half of this year and am looking forward to some conversations. So there will definitely be some solo episodes for me. There will definitely be some interviews that I am really, really excited about. And I can't wait to bring to you super stuff that I haven't heard, which I'm really excited about. So let me just be clear. Make sure that you are tuned in and subscribed so you don't miss a thing. because this is going to be a good last half of the year. And I just want to say I'm so happy to be back, and I will see you next week. I've got two things before I let you go. One, if you've ever gotten any value from the show, please leave a 5-star review. It really helps and absolutely makes my day. The second thing is if you have any thoughts you'd like to share with me, please shoot me an email at podcast@KimberlyJBenoit.com. I'd love to hear from you. All right, see you in the next episode.